If you believe in the basketball gods, say a little prayer to them before you go to bed tonight and ask for a Sacramento Kings versus Houston Rockets playoff series. What a fantastic game between these two teams, made even sweeter by a Kings victory. DeMar DeRozan shines in the fourth quarter. De'Aaron Fox plays an extremely important supportive role, and Keegan Murray has the breakout game inside the Golden One Center that we've been waiting for. It's all right here for you on Locked On Kings.
You are Locked On Kings, your daily Sacramento Kings podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time for another episode of Locked On Kings.
Hello and welcome into Locked On Kings, your podcast hub for Sacramento Kings coverage all season long. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. My name is Matt George. I have the privilege of being your host here. I'm a Sacramento sports anchor and reporter for ABC 10 News, and my goodness, was this a fun basketball game that we were treated to inside of the Golden One Center tonight. You think I'm kidding? I'm praying to the basketball gods for sure. Fingers crossed, man. I would love nothing more than a Kings and Rockets playoff series. You talk about entertainment value, from the physicality of these two teams to guys jawing at each other and talking to each other, to the haymakers that these two teams shared or went back and forth blow for blow during that exciting fourth quarter. A best of 7 series between these two teams would be a lot of fun, and maybe I'm a little cocky too, because so far in the 2 games that the Kings and Rockets have played this season, the Kings are 2-0 against the Rockets, even though the Rockets are number 2 in the Western Conference. This was just a really, really fun basketball game that the Kings won 132 to 127. Physical, gritty. I mean, you look up the definition of gritty in the dictionary, and a picture of this game or this box score or a link to the highlights of this game should come up. Super tough defense at times. Some massive shots on both sides. Trash talk and stare downs between these two teams. The Kings were up by 16 points with a little over 5 minutes remaining in the third quarter. To this point, Sacramento had not necessarily dominated the game, but they were in control for the vast majority of this game, in control for pretty much the entirety of the first half. They go up by 16. The Golden One Center is rocking. The Rockets look a bit tired, playing on the second night of a back-to-back, also shorthanded without Fred VanVleet and Jabari Smith Jr., 2 important starters to this Rockets team. And credit to the Rockets. They come roaring back. They get it all the way down to like 7 points or 5 points or something like that in the third quarter. Then they start the fourth quarter on a 6-0 run to actually take a 1-point lead. And then from that point on, blow to blow, back and forth. I mean, a 42-42 fourth quarter between these two teams. You best believe NBA on TNT was thrilled that this was the main event game that they had tonight, because the game that everybody thought was going to be amazing, OKC and Cleveland, that game sucked. So thankfully that was the opening act to this phenomenal game that we got between the Kings and the Rockets. And then the Kings, they're great in the clutch once again, right? Thank God the Sacramento Kings have gotten back to themselves or figured out how to execute better in crunch time, how to close games out better, both on the defensive and offensive end of the floor. Now, in the grand scheme of things, as fun as this game was, there's going to be a lot from this fourth quarter that Doug Christie and his coaching staff are going to watch and film breakdown and bring to practice or bring to film sessions over the next couple of days that the Kings definitely can learn from, right? The Kings made some big mistakes on the offensive end of the floor down the stretch of this game. Now, also credit to the Houston Rockets. They played some phenomenal defense. Alperen Sengun had a massive block on De'Aaron Fox, who was attacking the basket, was guarding Malik Monk one-on-one on the perimeter, and Malik starts dancing, and Sengun disrupted him enough to where Malik lost his balance and kind of fell back. The Rockets forced like 2 turnovers in a row that led to a Dylan Brooks 3, and then I think it was Atari Eason or somebody hit a transition layup to close what was, I think, like a 7-point Kings lead down to just 1 point when it looked like Sacramento was starting to pull away again in the fourth quarter, right? The Rockets had some massive moments defensively, and the Kings' offensive execution wasn't great. There were also some defensive breakdowns by the Sacramento Kings to where after making a pair of clutch free throws, they allowed Jalen Green to get up and down the floor and finish with a layup in like 6 seconds, again, off of a made free throw, not like a miss in transition. Like, the Rockets inbounded the ball to Jalen Green, and he beat damn near the entire Kings team down the floor to finish at the rim. So certainly things that the Kings are going to break down from this game and improve on. But this was just like the last time we were in this building when the Kings beat the Miami Heat in a gritty double overtime game. Sacramento dug deep, they fought hard, and they found a way to win this game. A lot of the reason for that was a couple of numbers in the fourth quarter. The Sacramento Kings, a team historically, or at least recently, that has struggled from the free throw line, right? Been as inconsistent as it gets. Painful. Last year, the Kings were the worst free throw shooting team in the league. The Kings were 20 of 22, I think, or were they 22 of 24? Either way, they only missed 2 free throws in this game, shot 90% from the free throw line as a team. But in the fourth quarter, they went a perfect 13 of 13 with a lot of clutch made free throws to ultimately secure this game. On top of that, the Kings only had 5 steals total in this game. That's low for them. They've been averaging around 10 steals per game in the Doug Christie era. That's been one of the areas where their defense has really shined. Only 5 steals against the Houston Rockets in this game, but 4 of those 5 steals were in the fourth quarter when it mattered most. The Kings were getting those stops, getting those steals, getting out in transition. Now, a lot of you are probably going to expect that I start, when talking about individual performers, that I start with DeMar DeRozan. And I'm going to get to DeMar DeRozan in a second and give him his flowers because he was unbelievable in this game. But I want to talk about De'Aaron Fox first because I'm reading the comments. I'm reading people on social media. I've been reading the comments in my comment section after the last handful of podcasts. I know this isn't a representation of the entire fan base, and there's probably some of you that just listen to this podcast that don't reach out or don't react or don't send messages that maybe are super pro De'Aaron Fox. But I'm reading a lot of stuff that is anti-Fox right now. And I understand that through the first 3 quarters of this game, De'Aaron Fox wasn't playing great. Was he playing bad? No. People thought he was coasting, taking the game off. I just don't think he had the hot hand in this game. He was inefficient shooting the basketball. It just was not his night. Thankfully, other guys were stepping up, and De'Aaron Fox throughout the entire game, not just the fourth quarter, did a really good job of getting those guys involved. Was it the epic De'Aaron Fox performance that we wanted to see on national television? No, it was not. Have we seen De'Aaron Fox look more engaged and look more dialed in and in more attack mode in games past than tonight? 100%. So that, I guess, criticism is valid. But I've seen a lot of people saying, oh, De'Aaron Fox was mid tonight. De'Aaron Fox was just going through the motions. De'Aaron Fox had 19 points. Again, a super inefficient, 6 of 17 from the field, but 2 of 4 from three-point range, had 7 assists, getting his teammates involved. But these are the numbers that are important. De'Aaron Fox was a perfect 5 of 5 from the foul line, all 5 of those free throws in the fourth quarter. So he stepped up to the foul line and nailed 5 clutch free throws to help the Kings win this game when it mattered most. And of the 5 steals that the Sacramento Kings had in this game, De'Aaron Fox was responsible for 4 of them. He also had a block. De'Aaron Fox was huge on the defensive end for the Sacramento Kings, especially down the stretch. Made some big plays that resulted in a Malik Monk bucket or somebody else scoring, and they got all the shine and they got all the credit, but it started with the defense and the plays that De'Aaron Fox made. So Fox recognizes, look, I don't have it tonight. I'm not scoring very well. He's also having to deal with Amen Thompson, who is a I think absolute future star in this league. I don't blame Jackson Gatlin and any of the Rockets fan base who's telling me, yeah, there's no chance in hell that the Kings will get Amen Thompson in any kind of De'Aaron Fox trade. I get it. I understand why. I know the Sacramento Kings are going to push as hard as they can for him in trade talks, but I don't expect it to go anywhere because the Rockets feel like they have a bona fide star in the making in Amen Thompson, and I understand why. He did a great job attacking De'Aaron Fox on offense, but also you could tell it was in the Rockets' game plan to not let De'Aaron Fox cook and not let De'Aaron Fox get comfortable. You know why? Because the first time these two teams met, Dillon Brooks pissed De'Aaron Fox off, and Fox single-handedly beat the Rockets by himself the last time these two teams met up. It was clearly in Ime Udoka's game plan to not let De'Aaron Fox beat them and let the other guys cook. And the Kings found a way to win and exploit that game plan, and De'Aaron Fox did a very good job, especially in the fourth quarter. Hey, DeMar DeRozan has the hot hand, I'm feeding DeMar. Malik Monk's cooking in his two-man game with Domantas Sabonis, I'm feeding Malik. De'Aaron made the right plays. It wasn't the fanciest, wasn't the sexiest, wasn't the flashiest, wasn't the best game by any means we've seen from De'Aaron Fox. But he was really, really good in certain points when it mattered. And look, I know y'all love Keon Ellis. I love Keon Ellis too. If I just showed you this same stat line, but for Keon Ellis with 4 steals and a block, granted, I know Keon is not looked at as a star and is not paid like De'Aaron Fox, but with the 4 steals and the block alone, y'all would be losing your minds about how amazing Keon Ellis is. De'Aaron Fox does it. He deserves that same praise, especially with how important those steals and that block and those free throws were down the stretch and in crunch time. I think y'all are being too harsh on De'Aaron Fox right now, man. I understand you're concerned about him leaving. I understand you're concerned about, or you might think that the Kings could get something of value for him right now or at the trade deadline that could help make this team overall better and get a few extra pieces and brighten the Kings' future. I understand if you feel that way. I'm not telling you you're wrong. But we don't have to look at every little thing to be nitpicky about De'Aaron Fox and the way that he's playing, because he's been playing really well for the most part. He's been very good since coming back from his injury that he dealt with. And here he is, not having the greatest of offensive games, but finding ways to impact winning in so many different areas outside of just scoring the basketball. It's what a leader does. That's what a star does. And then there's DeMar DeRozan. 33 points tonight, 12 of 23 from the field, 7 of 7 from the free throw line, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. In the fourth quarter, he had 16 points, 5 of 10 from the field, 1 of 2 from three-point range, 5 of 5 from the foul line, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. He was clutch. He took over the clutch responsibilities from De'Aaron Fox in this game, which is fine. This is what you brought him here for. This is what you brought him here to do. It's not all on De'Aaron Fox anymore. If Fox doesn't have it going on or defenses are hyper-focusing on Fox, he's got just as lethal of a clutch scorer in DeMar that can take those responsibilities and carry that load. And that's what DeMar did tonight. DeMar was fantastic in this game, finding the right spots of when to do his thing in isolation, in the post, when to draw fouls, and when to continue to move the ball around and get everybody else involved. I think DeMar is doing a really good job, not just figuring out when to share the clutch responsibilities with Fox. He's doing a really good job of recognizing, hey, the Monk and Sabonis two-man game is working wonders tonight. While they're doing their thing, I'm going to try and find my spots. I'm going to work my way around the perimeter. We see DeMar taking more threes because they've been open, generated by Monk and Fox and his teammates. He's taking them more with confidence, right? DeMar's doing a much better job of figuring out how he can fit in with the Sacramento Kings offense outside of just getting the ball in his spots. But when the Kings needed him to help close out this game, create separation, and win this ball game for them in the fourth quarter, they got him the ball in his spots, and he executed for them. Fantastic game by DeMar DeRozan. And after the game, I asked DeMar about Fox kind of handing over the reins in the fourth quarter, recognizing DeMar had the hot hand and how having a star, how great it is to have a star like De'Aaron, who's used to doing that, having that responsibility himself, be willing to pass that torch when he recognized that DeMar was going and not want the spotlight for himself or anything like that. Here's what DeMar said.
DeMar, over the years, we've gotten used to Fox really taking a driving seat and a big responsibility during the fourth quarter. Tonight, it seemed like he was trying to feed you and get you involved, hit some clutch free throws as well. Can you just share your perspective or how significant it is to have a star like Fox who is willing to get others involved in those moments, or how much of a difference that makes?
I mean, that was part of the conversation, even before I came here, just being able to take the load off one another. You know, over the years, having to carry the load so much solely every single night, Now having two guys that's familiar, being in that position, you kind of could read and understand what's rolling, who rolling. You know, a lot of times it's a feel, it's an understanding. We communicated, and I just knew it was a matter of time where we'd be able to kind of, you know, catch the rhythm of understanding when and who got it rolling and how to take advantage of those moments.
Like I said at the top of the show, today's episode of the Locked On Kings podcast is brought to you by FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. That's $300 to keep the action going. The FanDuel app is easy to navigate, and the variety of bets keeps every game exciting. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. No waiting around. Your money is right there for you. You get your winnings immediately, whether you're betting on your favorite team or just looking to add some extra excitement to the playoffs. If you're like me and the Las Vegas Raiders aren't even close to the playoffs, I got to find somewhere, another way to root for something. Hey, FanDuel is a great way to have you covered for that extra entertainment value of the NFL playoffs. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $300 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Today's episode of the Locked On Kings podcast is also brought to you by Skims. Now, when I found out that Skims was making underwear for men, I was intrigued. I've heard so much about their quality from friends and family. So, you know what? I decided that I had to give it a shot. And let me tell you, it lives up to the hype. I tried the Skims Stretch 5 boxer briefs. These are my absolute favorite. They have so many different ones, from their cotton 3s, their stretch 3s, whatever you're looking for. But the Stretch 5s are my absolute favorite. I'm hooked. They're perfect for my active lifestyle, whether I'm up and moving around in my job or going out and playing golf or going to the gym. This is what the Stretch 5s are made for. They keep you cool. They don't get in your way. They're not uncomfortable. They allow you to move with the freedom that you need to be active, or just give you that everyday comfort as well. Whether I'm working out, running errands, just working through a day, chasing my 3-year-old around the house and trying to get him to stop breaking my stuff, they're some of the most comfortable underwear that I have ever owned. Plus, the lightweight material feels amazing, almost like you're wearing nothing at all. Shop Skims Mens at skims.com/LockedOnNBA and Skims stores. Make sure you let them know that we sent you after you place your order. Select podcast in the survey and select our store from the, or rather our show, from the drop-down menu. In addition, for the love that I got to show DeMar DeRozan, Keegan Murray tonight. Oh, it was so nice to see. It was so great to hear the Keegan Murray ringing through the Golden One Center again. And I'll talk about the crowd in a little bit too, because the crowd tonight was fan-freaking-tastic. But Keegan had that breakout performance, right? It wasn't like his 40 bomb that he had in this building last season, but that's not what we needed. It's not what Kings fans needed. He was shooting shots and knocking down shots with confidence. Then he had that moment in transition where we were all looking around going, who the hell is this guy? Keegan Murray in transition, coast to coast, behind the back dribble, attacking the basket, takes the contact, switches hands in midair, finishes through the contact at the rim with the and one. Keegan Murray, are you kidding me? What a fantastic move and fantastic moment for Keegan. That overall, 18 points tonight, a super efficient 7 of 10 from the field, 3 of 6 from three-point range, 11 rebounds. Dude was also crashing the glass, had a couple of assists as well. Whether it was that transition moment or him just knocking down threes in confidence, right? We know that Keegan, has scratched and clawed and grinded his way through a really rough start to this season. And we know Keegan is capable of being so much better offensively than what he's been, right? We know that this is an anomaly. Him shooting in the high 20s or the low 30s from three-point range. That's an anomaly. He's way better of a shooter than that. And as he's trying to, in real time, figure out juggling the responsibilities of guarding the opposing team's best player every single night and still having a significant enough offensive impact for defenses to respect and that the Kings need to ultimately go to the next level. We're seeing him figure that out, work his way through it, and yes, more often than not, it's been ugly. It's been tough. It's been a struggle. That's why we have to celebrate these breakthrough moments, these big games. Is everything fixed? Is everything back to normal? Hopefully this is the start of an amazing stretch for Keegan. But we're seeing him work his way out of it, and I do not think it's a coincidence that Doug Christie taking over, the way he's instilled confidence in so many different players, now we start to see Keegan getting rolling. I'm not blaming Keegan Murray's struggles on Mike Brown by any means, but I'm just saying I don't think it's a coincidence that as the Kings have started to figure things out and get going, and Doug's been responsible for that, Doug also deserves credit for how Keegan Murray is finally working his way out of this slump. Speaking of Doug, I asked Doug Christie and Malik Monk about Keegan's great game. I also had to ask Malik. So if you don't know, during introductions, Malik and Keegan, when Keegan's introduced, they high-five, dap each other up, and then they do this thumbs-down thing to each other. That began with Malik Monk giving Keegan Murray thumbs down every time he would have a dunk. It's like Malik Monk's thing to where he kind of craps on anything that Keegan does, right? It's just kind of the big brother, little brother relationship that they have, and De'Aaron Fox is also kind of involved in it. So when Keegan does something pretty cool, usually a dunk or anything like that, Malik usually gives him the thumbs down. So, of course, I had to ask Malik about if Keegan's cool bucket in transition is worthy of a thumbs down.
Malik, first off, did Keegan get a thumbs down for the transition layup?
Well, I don't even remember. What happened?
The behind the back and then switch the hands and one and transition.
Yeah, he told me. I asked him, did he have it? He said no. So, yeah, that's thumbs down.
More on Keegan, though, specifically. He's really been fighting through the slump this season. This is one of maybe his best game of the season, especially here in this building. How have just you've seen him work himself through this and then to have the breakout performance like tonight?
Keegan's guarding the best guy almost every night, so he gonna have some down games, and that's why we're a team. So I just try to install confidence in him, tell him to keep shooting the ball, and it's gonna turn around at some point. I'm happy it's turning around now, though.
Doug, Keegan has worked his way through slumps earlier on this season, had a big breakout game here tonight. I'm just curious your perspective on just the work that he's put in to have those breakthrough moments and celebrating those moments when there's been struggles.
Yeah, I told him I didn't know he had that in his game, a little razzle-dazzle. It was nice. Keegan is, I just try to fill him with love and confidence, man. Like, you get it, you shoot it. There is no hesitation. I believe in you probably more than you believe in yourself because he catch and shoot. My man he's a sniper, and he just has to, even if he step back a couple feet behind the line, give yourself some room because when they run at you, I want you to pump fake, take one dribble, and still shoot the three. And those conversations for him, I think, have given him some confidence, but it's not really about me, it's about him. Like, he puts in the work, I just put him in a position and tell him to pull the trigger. No hesitation, let it go.
Today's episode of the Locked On Kings podcast is also brought to you by Robinhood and Robinhood Gold. With Robinhood Gold, you can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on retirement contributions. The privileges of the very privileged are no longer exclusive. With Robinhood Gold, your annual IRA contributions are boosted by 3%, plus you also get 4% APY on your cash in non-retirement accounts. That's over 8 times the national savings average. The perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive your 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing does involve risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold at $5 a month for 1 year from the first match. You must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Over 8 times the national average savings account interest rate claim is based on data from the FDIC as of November 18th, 2024. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. There was a piece of bad news from tonight's game. Keon Ellis, unfortunately, going down with an injury. Keon stepped on the foot of Domantas Sabonis in the third quarter and tweaked his ankle. He was able to walk off the court on his own power, no limp. He was down for a decent period of time and holding that ankle, but he was able to get up, walk off the floor. I did not notice any significant limp or anything like that. Walked back into the locker room, got checked out, and was ruled out for the remainder of the game. Keon, we know how important he is to this team, right? And Doug was kind of asked for if he had a status update after the game, and Doug said that he'd seen Keon, that Keon looked good, but what Doug said was those type of injuries, typically you don't really truly feel it and how bad it is until the next day, right? When you wake up the next morning, how does that ankle feel? Is it swollen? Is it super sore? Could you put weight on it? So we'll probably get a better understanding of if Keon will miss time, how much time he'll miss, how severe the injury is. We'll probably get a better idea of it the next morning. But what that means too is that it doesn't need any kind of scanning or massive medical treatment or anything like that, which is a good thing. If this seems like if it's a problem, it's a minor ankle sprain, which you do have to miss time for that. And missing Keon Ellis would be a big deal for this Kings team with how important Keon Ellis has been. But that also means opportunity. And I think it's opportunity specifically for Devin Carter. If Keon Ellis is out, those minutes I expect, I'm sure he'll share it with probably Kevin Huerter and then maybe another guy off the bench. I don't know if it would be like a Jordan McLaughlin who was out and not with the team today because of personal reasons. But I look at if Keon Ellis is down for any foreseeable period of time, then Devin Carter is the guy that I think everybody is naturally going to look to hey, step up. And you can't be Keon because Keon is his own thing, but try and make up for what Keon does as best as you possibly can. There's an opportunity in everything. I'm hoping that Keon is fine tomorrow and he'll be good to go on Sunday when the Kings take on the Washington Wizards. But if he's not, Devin Carter will have, I think, a lot on his shoulders and a lot of opportunity to make an impact on some decent minutes as a rookie. You know what I noticed comparing tonight's game between the Kings and Rockets to the first game between the Kings and Rockets? While there were stare downs, right? Malik Monk had a great stare down with Dylan Brooks at one point, and I'm sure there was jaw and talking on the floor and trash talk as usual. It was not the same level of antics from the Rockets as the first game. You remember? You remember how the Rockets were kind of showing off in this building? Remember that? They were riding high, they were talking their trash, and that awoke the beast in De'Aaron Fox that ended up turning the tide of that game, and then the Rockets got frustrated. Ime Udoka got ejected, blah, 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 blah. We weren't, that wasn't the same. This Rockets team, now granted, second night of a back-to-back, that might have played a factor into it, plus missing two starters. Like, I understand that this was not the full-strength version of the Houston Rockets, so maybe that was the reason why. But we did not see that same version of the Rockets. It's not that they weren't confident, and it's not that they didn't try and exert themselves or enforce themselves onto the Sacramento Kings and how they want to play and their physicality and their kind of their bullying style. It just was different. The way that they did it was different. I remember De'Aaron Fox saying after the first Houston game, people don't usually talk to me because they see what happens. People usually don't talk crap to me because this is what I do. And I while the Rockets did a good job, I think, of containing De'Aaron Fox and making him work, I didn't see too much trash talking going on and egging Fox on and egging the Kings on the same way that we saw earlier this season. Ime Udoka, though, apparently, after the game, I didn't see this, I didn't hear this. Apparently, he said or called out the officiating towards the end of the game and talked about soft calls. I think he was largely talking about two fouls in pretty much back-to-back possessions that were on Dylan Brooks. One was tracking down a loose ball that De'Aaron Fox grabbed, and then Dylan Brooks clearly whacks De'Aaron Fox on the arm. Ime Udoka challenges the call and loses the challenge because, again, clearly he grabs or slaps De'Aaron Fox's arm to loosen the ball so he could get the steal. And then the next play, the Kings are inbounding it, and Dylan Brooks just grabs De'Aaron Fox's arm and jersey before the ball was even inbounded, which not only is a foul, that's one free throw which anybody can take on the Kings. De'Aaron Fox ended up taking it and making it. But then the Kings get the ball in addition to that. So Dylan Brooks made two pretty costly and, again, obvious fouls down the stretch. Now, he also had quite the reaction to both of them. I thought he was going to get a tech. He did not. And I'm actually, like, the Kings fan in me would love to have seen Dylan Brooks get the tech, but just a basketball fan to me and the energy of the game and the intensity of the game, I applaud the refs for not teeing up Dylan Brooks there. Right? He didn't come at them and scream at them. He had this very visible and audible reaction. I'm sure he said some things their way, but was walking away from him and clearly getting frustrated with the foul call. I'm glad they didn't tee him up. I'm glad they let it ride. It was the high emotions of the moment in a very physical game down the stretch. So I'm okay with that. But I'm not okay with Ime Udoka talking about soft foul calls, especially, sir, when you got 3 fouls called against Domantas Sabonis in the fourth quarter that took him from 3 fouls to fouling him out with still like 6 minutes or 5 minutes or 4 minutes or something like that remaining in the game. So, yeah, Ime, I'm not hearing the soft calls excuse from you in this game. I was very happy, though, to hear this Golden One Center crowd tonight. It was awesome. With the TNT crew in town and the national television audience, Sacramento shows up again. That's why when you look at national TV games that the Kings have, typically they're here in Sacramento because the NBA wants to showcase this building, wants to showcase this crowd, and how great it is to play here. You know, there's a clip that Jill Adge on Kings Twitter actually shared of a couple New York Knicks players talking about where they like to play. And one of them, I think it was Mikal Bridges and Jalen Brunson, and I think Dante DiVincenzo was in there too, and a couple different guys talking about how much they love Sacramento, how much they enjoy playing in Sacramento. It's because of the energy that these fans bring. It's because of what you bring to these games. And once again, that energy was fantastic. But I don't want you to hear it from me or listen to me talk about it. Doug Christie, who has such an obvious connection with you, the fans, and knows very well what it's like to play in front of you, spoke really eloquently after the game about how great this crowd was and the energy in this building is, comparing it to his time playing in Arco Arena with Arco Thunder. And he talked about the emphasis or the message to his players about how important it is to protect home floor. So the hardest game of the 3-game homestand is taken care of. You beat the Rockets. Now you have the Washington Wizards on Sunday, which I don't blame you if you were spooked by that game based off of how the Kings have fared, not just against the Wizards, but against bad teams in this building in the past, especially when they felt like things were going great and riding high. So hopefully that's not a momentum killer trap game on Sunday that the Kings can handle their business then. Then they have the Golden State Warriors next week before going on the road for a 6-game road trip and playing 10 of their next 12 games after that on the road. So Kings need to take advantage of this home cooking opportunity here inside the Golden One Center. But as of now, 21-20, they're back above 500. They're 9th in the Western Conference, half a game out of 8th, only 1 game out of 7th, a game and a half out of 6th, and 2.5 games out of 5th. They're in it. They are in the thick of this race, and that can look even better and feel even better if they handle their business on their home floor over these next 2 games. I'm looking forward to it. Now I want to hear from you. Your thoughts on this game, DeMar DeRozan, De'Aaron Fox, Keegan Murray, Doug Christie, whatever you want to talk about. You want to wish or hype up a Kings and Rockets playoff series like I am? Let's talk about it. At MattGeorgeSack on Twitter or Blue Sky. You can email me, mattgeorgesports@gmail.com, or leave your thoughts in the YouTube comment section down below. A very fun night inside the Golden One Center. The beam is lit again. Doug Christie's Sacramento Kings keep on balling and winning in the clutch. It's fun to see. It's great to cover. And we were treated to just an amazing basketball game tonight. And I'm looking forward to many more like that this season. Until next time, my name is Matt George. You've been listening to the Locked On Kings podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.